So Castles and Crusades. What would I miss in chat?
Not much.
Apparently my cat's screaming. Not much? Okay. If you say it's not much, I'm going to move on. If anybody didn't get answered to, you blame Heathen Dog.
My fault.
Answered to? Wow, that's angry. All right, so cat, I'm having a stream. And I don't care. I don't know if you can hear him, but he's loud.
No, we can't.
Good. Player's Handbook. So if you go to, was it Trollord Games? Hold on, let me scroll down. I'll tell you who it is. Trollord Games. Go to Trollord Games. You can get this PDF for free.
Nice.
So that's where I got it, and I think that's where you got it as well, right?
Yep, that's true.
You can go to the page, to their site, and get it for free. Anyway, Player's Handbook, a guide and rule system for fantasy role-playing games. So it's by these two gentlemen here, Davis Chenault and Mac Golden. And everything that I've read about people who talk about this game say these are two really good guys. Now, whether they are or not, I don't know. But they got a lot of positivity toward them. So I will
Positivity.
There you go, right? Cover art, interior art, logo designs by Peter $20 Bradley. Now, I got to tell you something. One of the things I liked about this book, I like the way it's laid out. I like this cover art. Now, it's not as realistic as, say, what you find like inside the AD&D second edition book or whatever. But it's also not, I want to say cartoony. It's not as weird as like, especially third edition D&D, which was garbage art. But even fifth edition, I'm not a big fan of it. It's a little better. I just don't like how it generally looks. I like the way this looks. What do you think?
No, the art's fine. I mean, it's a lot better than some of the other free books I've seen out there. This is actually they took care to make it realistic enough, but you can tell that they probably could have done better. But that's what getting paid is for.
Well, right, yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm not gonna indie game, which I still consider this an indie game. I'm not gonna hold that against them. I relatively like the art. Like, I'm not looking at this going, ugh. Look, I think this art is better than Earth Dawn art.
Yeah.
And that's by FASA, so you know. Never really liked Lobenstein's art, but hey, it's a different story. Seventh printing, edited by nobody. And Steven, if you watch this video, you and I are going to have a conversation at the end of this video when I kick Heathen Dog off of it for a while. Okay? I want you to stand by, Steven Eggett. I hope that's how you pronounce it. Don't want to fuck up your name. I don't like doing that. But you and I are going to have a conversation. Just a little one. I kick Heathen Dog off stream for 5-10 minutes, and you and I are going to talk. Because this, didn't do a good job. Other than that, I like pretty much everything about this book. And it's not even fully what you guys think it is. It's not going to be the same rant as always. That'll be part of it, but it's not the same rant as always. Acknowledgments. What I did like in here, first and foremost, I'd like to thank Gary Gygax. You know what? I think that's just, nothing else needs to be said, right? Anything in there that you feel needs to be said?
No, we're good.
Okay. Again, not photorealistic. If this is not an orc, well, I'm going to tell you this is what an orc should be.
Actually,
I don't have the...
That looks more like a kobold, or
it looks like a first edition orc to me.
Really? Okay.
First edition one. Kind of pig face.
Well,
I
can see the piggy right now. Yeah.
These are the folks who published Gygax's Legendary Adventures. Okay. Deus Vult from Ghost of Tantalor. Okay. I'll let you keep up on the comments because I'm going to read through this. Special thanks to a whole bunch of people, probably Kickstarter backers and so forth, and a nice logo right there. Table of contents. Actually, I don't normally remark on things like this, but I like the table of contents. It had enough information to find what you're looking for, but wasn't like 18 pages long.
Yeah.
Like an index. So, went through this. It's in a great order. I liked it. They didn't have to do the ABCDs, but I guess, you know what if you're looking up the spell, enervation, okay, I can start right on 105. And as you can see with the little finger there, I could just click on it since the PDF is like that. Yeah, Troll Lord isn't really indie. Well, small enough not to get screwed over by SJWs. I consider most companies, if you're not Palladium, Chaosium, what are a couple of the other big ones? Obviously, Wizards of the Coast, Hero System, Steve Jackson Games. If you're not them, I kind of consider you indie. If they, they don't like that moniker, well, I take it as a compliment personally. Boom, boom, boom. That's probably a troll. And that's a dude who's about to get cleaved in half by a troll. I hope.
Purple blood. Huh.
Well, why not? It's an ice troll.
Yeah. All right. Fair.
I didn't even notice that, but yeah. Where role-playing and role-playing meet. Shadzer's going to love this one. I am not going to read this whole thing, except for I do want to say a couple things. First of all, I really like this game's emphasis on storytelling. Yeah, I'm going there. I do. I like the game. These guys write, and when I say these guys, and when I say they're two people who designed the game. That's who I'm talking about. If more are involved, well, congratulations. I'm going with the two that look like they designed the game, and the playtesters, whatever. What else? They really, really captured these are rules A, B, C, D, and then why these rules exist the way they do. It's not as stupidly narrative as, say, what was that game that my God, Star Trek Adventures?
Yeah,
where you can't understand what's going on. But there's enough narrative in here where if they just wanted to turn this into step 1, step 2, step 3, a tactics, techniques, and procedures, as we call it, working for the government, this book could have been probably half the size. But I like the balance that they put in, and I like their explanations. So much so that this freaking page 10 one right here is definitely not word for word, but it is absolutely like, I got to promise you guys, I just picked up this book last week. Okay, I've been writing my game for months, and this reads like what I wrote at the beginning of mine.
No one's going to believe you. You're a thief.
I know. I don't care. I'm writing the game for me. So anyway, I do like it, but it talks about how the game's cinematic. Talks about how it's kind of a rules light, but not fully rules light. And nowhere in here, one of the things that I've read online is that people say this is an OSR game. No, it is not. And if even these guys, if Troll Lord wants to say we're an OSR game, no, you're not. You're not an OSR game. However, I'm not saying they say that or not, but it's not an OSR game. But it's definitely a good balance between first, second, and third edition D&D. Yes, I just said something positive about third edition D&D. I'm sorry, but I think they picked the best of first, second, third edition D&D and basic. I mean, really, you can go so far as to basic D&D. Tweaked it for their own system, and boom, off to the races they were. I generally like this system. I have not dove into it deeply. I know enough, like I was telling Heathen Dog, I know enough to say that I know what a primary attribute is, I know what a secondary attribute is, I understand the base 12 and the base 18, and that everything is attribute-based rolling. After that, I've got some more reading to do. So, Kool-Aid, Turd Edition. Yes, Turd Edition. There you go. It's Wizards of the Coast First Edition is what I call it. What is a role-playing game? Which participants assume the role of a character such as a knight, wizard, and create a story based upon the action the character takes. That pretty much sums it up, don't you?
Yeah. Sounds good to me.
Says it's a classic style RPG in which all of the action and conflict occurs through verbal description.
Okay.
Role-playing games were originally extrapolated from the miniature wargaming hobby and have been described by some as mature versions of children's games like Cops and Robbers. I haven't heard that in many, many years, but I have heard that. What about Base 24? This isn't Dungeon Crawl Classics. Base 24. All right, let's move on. What you need to play. It talks about, pen, paper, dice. Same thing, everything. Talks about. I really like, they put effort into what is a role-playing game. Mine is one paragraph. This one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 paragraphs. No. They obviously put some care in there, and they have a long section on having fun. Game does need rules. They try to tout themselves as kind of rules. Like, well, you know what? In some degree, they are rules. Like, but game does need rules. Key to the game, however, is simple. The more you get involved in playing your character, less time you have to spend worrying about the rules of the game. The more fun the game will become. I agree with that.
Yep.
If there's one thing I don't like about pretty much any edition of D&D, but especially third, is how thick and encyclopedic it is. So one of the reasons why I don't like Pathfinder, even if I give Pathfinder a pass for not being Dungeons and Dragons, so whatever it does, I can't argue about because it's not Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, it's their own thing. You can't begrudge people their own thing.
Right. And wow, that's segment 2. Oh crap! Talking about. Oh, you did put it up. Thank you. Uh,
I also changed the Twitch thing.
which thing? Oh,
Back
thank
to
you.
tabletop.
Oh, good. Thank you. I forgot about that. Anyway, I don't begrudge. Whatever I was saying. Yeah, a game its own. All right, creating character. So it starts right off jumping in, bam, creating the character. I got to ask you a question here.
Castle Keeper.
That's the dungeon master.
Yeah, it's Dungeon Master. Okay, all right. It's a little derivative, but okay.
Well, I think it's good for the game. I don't mind it when people come up with terms like that, unless they're really, really weird. So that didn't bother me at all. In fact, I thought it was a good take for their own game. Do you prefer a book that says, let's use like Earth Dawn. It says, here's how you create a character. It gives you the 10 steps or whatever it is, right? It says, first do this, gives you maybe the quick rundown of how to do it, then says, do this other thing, gives you a quick rundown, but it doesn't go in depth. Just says, do this over the course of, say, 4 or 5 pages. Or do you want it all given to you, bam, up front like this, kind of like what Astonishing Swordsmen and Sorcerers did, or what it seems this game does?
I like it all up front. I mean, the two things you're describing are not narrative style, which I hate. You cannot properly give someone vital information in a role-playing narrative style. You can't tell a story and give pure information that you didn't know before and may not have context to link to. Both of those styles you described are good. I prefer as plain as possible and as quickly as possible. Give me everything I need to know. Bam. I like that better because I can take my time, go through the book, and zero in on maybe I need more clarification on this or that. But the basics, boom, right up front, give it to me. Just shotgun into my brain. That's what I want.
Hey, Shadzar, it's not 1977 anymore. Just letting you know. The genre has evolved. Whether we like it or not, the genre has evolved. It is, I literally define it in my game as acting without a script, because that's what I've called it for decades. I started in the 80s. Role-playing is acting without a script. Now, if somebody else chooses to play a different way, that's fine. But for my games, it is acting without a script. And that is how it will always be identified for me.
Mar Hockman says he avoided drama.
And what is that? I don't understand that emoji. What is that emoji? Is that like what the hell's that say?
I don't know what that says.
Oh, RTFM. If you hover over RTFM, I don't need to read the manual.
Oh, okay.
See, one of the rules in the manual is, especially in the edition you like to play, is that you don't have to follow these rules. So, anyway, I don't go so far as improv. In fact, but that's a good comment, Jason Blake. I don't go far as to call it improv because I personally don't like games like Fate Core or Fiasco or Cosmic Patrol.
That's player agency. I stay away from that. The player does not control the story at all, ever.
But I take his meaning, though.
I understand his meaning, but that's too far. Don't go that far.
To me, I like the balance. I like the balance of creating, being part of the narrative, helping to shape the narrative, and moving forward. At the same time, I don't like playing a video game where everything's numbers.
Oh yeah, no. You just gotta make sure they don't know it. You're fine.
I disagree with that. So first thing is you imagine your character. Decide in a general manner the type of character desired. Well, there we go. And one of the things I like about this game is this game doesn't say roll first, pick your class.
Right.
Which I never did even in D&D. I never rolled first and, okay, what can I be? No. We always sat around, it's like, okay, who's going to be the wizard? Who's going to be the clerik? Who's going to be the fighter? Who's going to be, we always did that. Like, all right. So, and we moved on from there. So I think this is more natural. Roll your attributes, choose a class. I guess it does technically say it here, but when they do talk about attributes, it's going to say, hey, roll 3d6, and it's straight 3d6, by the way.
No optional stuff?
No optional, except for you place them how you want.
Okay, well, that's fair.
Which makes sense. Also, if you look at how this is developed, I just looked at chat and it sidetracked me again. I hate doing that. Fuck it. I'll get back to it. My brain's not working apparently. Oh, the modifiers. The modifiers, what is it in 5th edition, 3rd edition, whatever? They go from like -5 to +5. I mean, that's 25% on a D20. It's crazy talk. This one goes +3 to -3. Another thing this game stole from me.
Oh, yeah, it stole from you.
Even though I haven't finished my game, it stole from me.
Exactly, yeah.
Rules are written on paper, not in stone. Well, the thing is everybody picks and chooses the rules that they like and what works for their group. I need to have a story in my game. And thing is, it's a balanced story. I don't believe that you should throw away all mechanics. God damn it, I can't talk. In order to make the narrative you want, there's probably a better game system for you. In fact, Heathen Dog and Garthon, where is he? Oh, there he is. Heathen Dog and Garthon did a video on that a few months ago, Legion Myth Weekly live stream. We talked about
your game, yeah.
Yeah. Numbers are just abstractions to measure attributes. Right. But when you consider them on percentages with a D20, if something's adjusting it by plus or minus 25%, all told, that's a 50% deviation. That's where the min-maxing really, really comes in. When it's plus, obviously the person with the +3 is better than the person with the -3. But the person with the -3 isn't so broken that person can't do, let's say you got a strength of -3, right? You can still perform a strength check, especially with the way the rules in this game are written, where if that's your primary stat, you got a 21. So hopefully you're modifying that somewhere. But you got some help or something. But if it's your primary stat, you'd never have a -3. You're still rolling a 12, so that'd be a 15. You still have a chance. My point being the plus and -3 just isn't as bad. Choose class, choose a race. It has the typical races you expect from a D&D clone-ish type game. Then you flesh out your character with money and so on and so forth. Did you read you didn't read the rules on encumbrance, did you?
No.
I glanced them over, and the encumbrance system of the game is interesting. I mean, it's not hard. It's not way different. It's just, again, there's a lot of balance. I feel like these developers took a lot of good from it. I was thinking this. Yes, I was taking a bath and I was reading this game. Deal with it. What I was thinking of there was that this is like the melting pot of D&D games. Not the multiculturalism crap. No, the melting pot of D&D games. It took a little good from basic. It took a little good from first. It took a little good from second. Took a little good from third. Mashed it all together, threw in its own twist to put all that together in a nice cohesive manner, and boom. So while I tend to not use encumbrance or not worry about it too much, it's kind of a more like, how many swords are you carrying? 15? No, you're not having 15 swords, and you pick 3, or something like that. This one fills that balance. I don't like doing the crunch on it. Typical attributes: strength, dex, con, intelligence, wisdom, charisma. This game rolls against the attributes for skill checks, or pretty much every check rolls against the attributes. I like that system. That makes that plus, we'll say that +2 you have to wisdom. Well, let's use something more commonly used, dexterity. Mm-hmm. That +2 to dexterity, it makes it mean more than just something to hit, have a nice day. Everything that's based on your dexterity is +2. The game doesn't worry about skills because of that, because dexterity is +2. Where you worry about, well, should I have a better chance of doing this than somebody else? Is it based off your primary stat or not? Is that realistic? Not at all. Is it cinematic? I think so.
And is it easy? Definitely.
Right. I'm not, one of the things I don't like about rules like games is sometimes I think they're, that easy thing absolutely jogged my memory on this one is I don't always like that. I like things to be a little more realistic, but it is an important factor. Absolutely is. Again, I think this game captures the balance. Some game rules should be carved into mud. There you go. Only some. Okay. Anyway, it's obviously 3 to 18 because you roll 3d6. Attribute check, explained later. So here's 6 attributes. Strength, I think we all know what strength is. It's can you lift?
Yeah, we don't need to go over this. Everyone here should know what these things are.
Gives the specifics for it and so forth. Generating is 3d6. There you go. This process repeated 6 times. Once the 6 scores are generated, done.
And it says, please consider the race and class that you want, because if you put the 3 into strength, well, it's not going to work out for you if you want to be a fighter.
It does give you. It's not here. It must be later. It does give you a chart that goes from 1 to 19 instead of 3 to 18. Just in case. Just saying. It is possible for an attribute score to fall below 3. Okay, you know what? Talking and reading, apparently as I'm getting older, is just, I'm going to be doing grunts and groans in about next month. Attribute modifiers, do they show them here? Yes, here they are. Here are your modifiers. I won't hover over them anymore. It makes them harder to read. But from attributes, here are your modifiers.
Wow, that's a big penalty on the bottom there.
Well, if you have a 1,
it's like
I hope you don't have a 1.
You are a walking dumpster fire off of the back of a Chinese restaurant. You get a -4.
There you go. Still a 20% difference on a D20. Every check has an associated attribute. Whenever one of these checks is made, a D20 is rolled by the player. Attribute level modifiers for... oh, that's right. I forgot. This game adds level to the game also when you roll.
Oh, okay.
Which I'm not sold on.
Well, I know, but this actually simulates skills, because it takes the fact that the more experienced you are, the better at general things you're going to be. So there you go. Fishing. Well, a 5th level player is going to be better at fishing from a 1st level player because he's probably done more fishing.
I accept the argument to the point where it doesn't break the game for me. I disagree with the argument because sometimes I like NPCs to have a decent role. But you know what I'd do then in a case like this? I would just say this NPC has been fishing for 50 years and that's a primary attribute for him, and I'm giving him a +5 or something, I'm going to consider him level 10 fisherman. So for NPCs, easy ways around it.
For NPCs, you can say age is equivalent to their level. I don't mean like, oh, he's 50 years old, he gets +50. No, dumbass. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the 50-year-old sage when he rolls to decipher a manuscript. Not only is it probably going to be intelligence, which is going to be his primary attribute, but for every, say, 10 years he's been a sage, he gets a +1. Okay.
Every game master can do it differently, and this game is very much about that. Multiple times in this game that I've only skimmed it twice and read certain parts of it, but I have read multiple times in here where it's like, hey, if you don't have an answer right now, Castle Keeper, make an answer and move on.
Oh wait, Ravenslayer says he doesn't see that where it's free. He says it's $29.99.
Oh my God. I walked Sheriff's through it the other day. I can't do that right now while I'm on this stream.
Right. Okay.
If you go to the Troll Lord game,
you
go
do it
to
anyway, though.
No, just go to the player's handbooks. Go to the player's handbook, core rules, player's handbook. There'll be 2 options, digital and print, or digital and print. Select the digital option. When you put it in your cart, it will come up as $29.99 with this line through it and then 0.00.
Okay.
So Redstone, we're actually doing this because of you. This is your suggestion as to why we're talking about this game. So congratulations. Thank you for the YouTube comment. Ghost of Tantalorn says, everyone explains charisma as waves arms in the air. Well, let's see what charisma says here for you then. This attribute represents strength of attractiveness, willpower, personality, and leadership. Now, modern games take out the attractiveness side of it. Did you know that?
Really? I didn't know that.
A lot of modern games, that's body shaming.
Oh, stop. Well, Palladium separates them. I think that's better than charisma being 2 completely different things. In here, charisma is looks and likability, affability. The way you contort your contort. That's funny.
See, you're talking like me now.
Yeah, you pass it on to me.
Sorry.
The way you handle social interaction, whereas Palladium does them different. Mental affinity, which is the latter, and then physical beauty, which is the former. 2 completely different things because they are 2 completely different things. But a lot of games,
I don't mind.
With D&D, you have charisma be both. That's fine.
See, I don't mind it being both simply because I don't care. There's nothing that physical beauty in the game does outside of, hey, my character's beautiful. Do I get a chance to? Sure, why not? Yeah, so, something like that. There's no. I can't see the point of physical beauty. Let me rephrase that. It just wouldn't come up a lot. So I don't mind it being combined. In my game, it's combined. And the way I describe it is charisma. You could be very charismatic, but be ugly. Look at Steven Tyler from Aerosmith. Dude makes a lot of money, gets chicks. He's an ugly son bitch.
He is, yeah.
On the other hand, you could be that hot, was it Mean Girls? Like, look at her. And as soon as she opens her mouth, you just want to slap her. So it can go both ways. That's how I describe it in my game. If somebody wanted to play somebody with a high charisma, but low physical beauty or vice versa. Looks
for you, it's more flavor whichever way you go.
Right. Exactly. Okay. And I would put that in, like, if somebody's like, hey, since my character's handsome, can I maybe make a charisma check to do something? Sure.
Yeah. See, now that's the thing. When you have them combined like this, charisma, just like it says right here, it's the degree to which a character is able to influence others.
Exactly. Yep.
Whether you influence them with your physical attractiveness or your sophistry, doesn't matter. The same result
exactly
is going to happen. So yeah, flavor.
But I absolutely understand why Palladium does it a different way. I just never utilized it.
I know.
Tell me, did you utilize it in Palladium?
Yeah, because Palladium and they're actually right. Talk about Palladium a lot. Lost Ogre is right, but they actually have mechanics for the separation. There are skills based on that physical beauty, and there are skills based on mental affinity. There are modifiers and stuff that affect different portions of the game, stuff like that. So it's built into the game, the separation of looking attractive and being persuasive.
Yeah, I've used MA a lot. I haven't used physical beauty. I know it does add bonuses to like charm, impress, and so forth, but I never used it a lot. I used MA a lot more.
It actually has bonuses for pickpocketing as well, which at first I didn't understand. But no, if you're high enough physical beauty, you yourself are.
You're like got this aura.
You are the distraction in the bump. You don't need a bump. You are the bump, and you can just pick their pocket because they're too busy looking at you. I get it. Okay, fine.
Fair enough. Okay. Primary and secondary attributes. This is where they start talking about. All right. Now, what I don't know, and I'm going to have to read right now, is so for Redstone.
We're learning together.
We're learning together. This is kind of a last minute purchase. I skimmed it over a couple times. I read little sections, like I said, multiple times now already. But I don't know if primary and secondary are tied to the classes, races, or if the player gets to choose them. So let's find out. Two types of attributes, primary and secondary. Primary attributes are those physical or mental abilities in which a character is particularly well trained or very experienced in using. So again, remember, there's the 12 base target number and the 18 base target number. The primary would be the 12 base target number.
Right.
Secondary attributes are those the character uses with only average skill. Wow, 18's average.
I know. Wow, this is a harsh game.
First level characters. This is actually harsher than my game. I thought my game was pretty bad.
We don't know how they do ancillary bonuses yet.
True. You're right. We got this box over here, which we'll get to in a moment.
Yep.
Human characters, 3 primary attributes. Demi-human races, dwarf, elf, gnome, halfling, typicals, have only 2. Which, again...
human deal. Okay.
What's that?
Like I didn't know about that. That's the human quirk.
Yeah, well, humans always have the quirk of diversity.
Yeah.
Or versatility, whatever you want to call it. Always. And any game that does not implement that, if it's considering itself a Dungeons Dragons either clone or offshoot or whatever term they want this week, adjacent, is wrong. And how they're getting rid of this stuff in the 5th edition game with like, no, people pick... Elves aren't just dexterous. Yes, they are. That they're just dexterous. Literally just dexterous. Okay.
No, well, come on back.
I'm coming back.
Let's look at this. Now, the human characters get 3 primary attributes. Yep. Demi-human characters, and it gives an example. It's not an exhaustive list. Have only 2, and then you get another one from your class. It specifically states it's different. So each class gets a primary attribute, and then from your race, you choose 2 or 3 others. So right now, if you're a human, you got 4, you got over half. If you're anything else, you got half of your attributes now.
Well, I think you're off by 1. So like the human would have 3. One is picked by the class.
Gives them 1 more. That's 4.
No, it doesn't give 1 more.
Yes,
it's just one of them comes from that. Each class has 1 primary attribute associated that cannot be changed. The player selects the others.
Exactly. Why would you pick the same one as your class as one of your 2 or 3? No. That's stupid.
No. You get what? So the human gets 3. 1 from the class, and then 2 others that he gets picked.
Oh, okay, I get it. I'm off by one. You're right. I'm sorry. I'm off by one. So the human character,
reading
half
it
of their
together.
stats right out of the gate are on recruit difficulty for rolling, and the other 3 are on goddamn veteran with the 18. So far. Jesus Christ.
I like that. All right. So moving on here. Attribute checks is before. So D20, whenever one of these checks is made, D20 is rolled by the player. Attribute level modifiers for class abilities only are added to this roll if applicable. So say that again. Attribute and level modifiers.
Right.
For class abilities only are added to the roll. I'll have to discover more about that.
Class abilities only?
I'll have to discover more about that later.
Yeah, does that mean your level?
Well, I think well, we're learning this together.
Okay,
I think
right.
I want to get to the classes. Just
we have attribute checks.
I think it's with these.
Okay.
These ones that are actually associated with the class.
Okay.
So does that mean so let's go back to the fisherman for a moment. Does that mean with the fisherman I don't get a bonus?
Because nothing is class for him because he doesn't have a class?
I'm just fishing. I mean, it doesn't matter to me either way. And I'm sure that when we get down to the section that talks about die rolling, it's going to be
right.
clarified.
But
everything in this book has been clarified at one point or another.
Right. So far, our fisherman's worst class or worst case scenario is that let's just say he's human.
Mm-hmm.
He gets 2 primary attributes. Hopefully, one of them's used for fishing, Dex, I guess.
There you go.
So he's rolling on the recruit difficulty of 12. And hopefully he's got
that's veteran. That's veteran difficulty.
No, I thought it was 18 was the I thought you have to roll equal or higher to succeed.
You're right. I'm so used to talking under right now. You're right.
Exactly. Yeah, equal or higher to succeed. So see how he's rolling a 12. Hopefully he's got a +1 or +2, so he's got a 50-50 shot at catching fish. So that's the worst case scenario now. Because he's not a class, he doesn't get any other bonuses besides his attribute modifier and the fact that he chose Dex when he was born.
And we're making up like some weird crap right here that doesn't even, it's not even a character class that you can do. We're just talking about.
It's not a class. This was NPC dude.
What about the knight though, who wants to go out fishing? You know, that's, I mean, do those bonuses not apply? Do those bonuses really matter though? I mean, at that point, I think a GM just says, hey, you go fishing for a couple hours, get some, unless it's a survival thing.
Yeah.
So let's move on from that. The ranger, there we go. The ranger just gets to do it there. Okay. For example, a 3rd level elf ranger with a 15 wisdom as a primary attribute attempts to track a pair of wily kobolds. Come on, you should have said wily coyotes.
That's true.
Through a mountain pass. The player rolls a d20 and adds the ranger's level +3, attribute modifier +1, and racial bonus all to the roll. Number generated is equal to or higher than the challenge class determined by the castle keeper. The attempt is successful. Okay.
The challenge class is the combination of the challenge base and the challenge level. Okay, so
it gets more. You add difficulty modifiers.
You add difficulty depending on extraneous factors, like how old in this instance, how old the tracks are, or maybe if it has rained since they've walked by, or whatever.
Or Hawkman, unless that knight has practiced stabbing in a water, I disagree. Because stabbing in a water, as I learned the hard way, it's not
a skill
the same
in itself.
Oh yes, yes, it is. By the way, it's one I don't have. I'll just tell you right now, I do not have it. So for a total of 15, player rolls a 13, adds 4 for a total of 17. This is greater than 15 necessary, so the ranger successfully tracks the kobolds to their dark and foreboding lair atop a craggy hill. Spearfishing is exactly.
So far, rolling successes in this game seems pretty hard.
At low level,
especially for low level, and especially if it's not a primary skill or a primary attribute.
Well, so what in going theoretical right now, what I like about that is it gives everybody a role. I mean, a ROLE role. It gives everybody the opportunity to have a place where that character can shine.
That's true. It actually promotes group diversity.
Synergy. Yep. Yeah. Diversity and synergy. Yep. Yep. Practice makes perfect. Get back to stabbing that water, Max. Wow. Nice. Okay. So here are the classes. Again, it looks very similar to you first edition folks. Assassins, Barbarians, Bards, Clerics, Druids, Fighters, Illusionists. Oh my God, the magic write-up in this game is fantastic. And we probably won't get there today.
No, we're not gonna get there today. No.
Fantastic. Knights, monks, paladins, rangers, rogues, and wizards. Notice that there are only 2 spellcasting classes
Yeah,
here.
illusionist and wizard. I caught that. And
and
two clerical ones. Well, two holy ones. Or
well, yeah,
religious,
and the game does that. It splits it up into arcane and divine, or whatever the hell they hedge wizards and class. And here's something. Look, I want to pause for a second here. Okay. Not just talking about this game, but talking about games like this in general. I prefer second and we'll just say I prefer second edition AD&D. One of the things I like about it is I like the kits. But kits are always optional. Okay, first, let's get that out of the way. Kits are always optional. You want to come with some broken-ass kit? No. But I like the idea because it gives you a focus. It gives you who you are. One of the things I despise about Lego Wizards Coast Lego D&D started with 3rd edition with the prestige classes and is carried on 5th edition and just how they combine everything. I hate it. I absolutely despise it. They're Lego characters. You don't need all that crap. Just say I'm a wizard that casts fireball. I'm a wizard, and write your own little narrative, and the game master can work with that. I said can, not will. Mm-hmm. This is all you need. I'm never a big fan of bards and monks. Just I have my personal reasons for that. I just think it's silly to be a character class. Oh, he played music, and now all of a sudden we're stronger. I've never agreed with that, but they're there. It exists in common canon for D&D and so forth. So there they are. But also note that knights and paladins kind of seems redundant. Not really. The way they do it well in this game, but not really. Okay. Anyway, my point is you don't need any other class in this. You don't need. I play wizards constantly. Well, I play clerics now, but I used to play wizards constantly. You don't need 17 different types of wizards. Just go with a spell selection. Talk with your game or castle keeper in this case. Say, hey, I would like spells that are more in line with this. This game, the illusionist write-up is so wonderfully done that any castle keeper who takes 5 minutes, or actually I'd put it on the player. You write it up, I'll verify that it isn't broken. And if you want to play an elementalist, we'll make that work for you. Just write it in the same style that the illusionist did. But you don't need that. This game has enough classes. You don't need Lego characters. Actually, let you chime in on that. I mean, what do you feel about? I mean, you play games like Palladium and so forth that have OCCs.
Yes, and a lot of people have a problem with that because all the glitter boys are exactly the same. Oh, they're not. They're not. Stop it. And a lot of people say the same thing. The D20 game I played the most that had classes and prestige classes was Star Wars revised D20 edition.
Oh, God.
And it had the classes and prestige classes. But I liked it. I'm sad to say. I liked it. Once I figured out that once I read the book and figured out that later on in your career, you can take any prestige class and any base class that isn't in the general field of your own, and you can build a completely unique character. Like have a level of hit this, 2 levels of that, level of this, 3 levels of that. It adds complexity, which can often be bad, but in my opinion, it doesn't add enough complexity to offset the flavor that it can bring to a character and the uniqueness that it can bring to a character. Now, in Palladium, yes, there are base skills that every single OCC has, but if you count the number of skills, they make sure that half of your skills are told to you, the other half you choose.
And you and I went through that a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah,
we
the reason
talked about
they do that is to make sure that if you choose a class, you are competent in that class. If they let you choose all your skills, completely up to your decision, there are idiots out there who will make a glitter boy who can't pilot his damn power armor because.
What do you mean read sensory equipment?
Yeah, because he didn't take read sensory equipment or power armor combat skill. There's going to be dumb shits like that. So they make you take skills that are required to be your class.
It's like basic training for the military. You and I both were in the Air Force. Now, neither of us can fly planes, but we both know how to follow simple commands.
Yes.
We also both know how to, what else they teach us in basic? We know how to fold a t-shirt. Well, I still remember.
And they give us basics in firing a rifle.
But we can fire the M16. I use the M4 now, which I would be better with, but absolutely. So he and I have those same skills. We both know how to take apart, maybe not quickly. We're not Marines, but we could take apart an M16, clean it, put it back together again.
Yeah, I don't want to see a timer on that, but
yeah, right. Yeah. But so we have those same skills. Now imagine this is more of a Marine because the Glitter Boy lives in his Glitter Boy.
Yeah.
So, idiot for what? Idiot 4 here, sir. Idiot for hire. Idiot 3 checking in. What the hell are we? What are we talking?
Move on.
Okay. Confused. Redstone had I popped him on the screen, but he had a couple of really good comments about the game. Actually, it's something that I did read or hear. What I want to comment to you, Redstone. Oh, by the way, Redstone's watching on YouTube, so if you don't see his for the Twitch people,
I
don't
can
see
it just later. It comes in a minute or two later.
For the Twitch people. The player book is a complete game. The system is easy to modify. I use adventures and materials ranging from 1E to 5E without difficulty. Now, the other thing that I was told that you needed for the game was the monster guide to run it. So you need this and the monster guide, but you don't need the dungeon or the castle keeper's guide. That's what I read about this game. But with the Castle Keeper's Guide also offers more options for customizing the game, such as the ability to reach level 25 and other systems rules for using magic. It's worth having. I could see that.
Yeah.
I'm going to have my critique at the end of this, so stand by for that.
Okay.
Oh, no, go on. I was saying that to him, not you.
Oh, no, here's a good one. Here's a good one. Classes and the Castle Keeper. Before choosing a class, consult with the Castle Keeper. The type of adventure or environment in which it occurs may help with this decision. For instance, if the Castle Keeper plans a game set in a dungeon environment, it would be disadvantageous to play a step barbarian. Fair. The CK should consider creating an adventure according to the classes chosen by the players. Okay, now stop. This is different. This is where your game 0 comes in. Okay.
Session 0, yep.
Yes. If the game master or castle keeper in this case has already a framework of an adventure, a framework of an arc of the campaign, then you as players have to choose character classes that fit into that framework, or you can't play. That's it. But if the castle keeper is more freeform, hey guys, what do you want to do? And I will build a campaign around that. Well, we all want to be fighters. Great. You're all in the same military, in the same unit, and you work for this king or duke or whatever, and your job is to go out on missions and do stuff for the kingdom, forgotten country, or whatever. That's the campaign. You're going to be passed around. Your lieges might be assassinated later on to add drama to the whole story. Blah blah blah. Whatever. Okay, those are two completely different castle keeper styles. Yep. And man, this really should be before we rolled stats and before we thought about what race and what class we want to be. This should have been earlier in the book.
Well, they're without using the same verbiage. They do talk about that earlier in the book. We skipped over it. It's when it talked about scroll. It was when imagine your character. So in this area here, it's like, hey, how do you want to play, et cetera, et cetera. Now down here
should be up there.
Fair enough. I see this as talking to two different people, and you kind of alluded to that. But this is going to lean into what Shadzar said. How the F will I know what the schmucks made the night before? Well, first of all, you're not bringing a character to my table without making it in front of me. So that's just right then and there.
Dumb.
Yep. There you go. Why? Hey, I made this guy. No, you didn't. You're going to be making it at the table with me.
You better frame them. Hang it in your room, because that's where it's going to be.
Yep. All the characters. I don't believe in that secret society stuff where it's like, I want to bring in this guy. No. Unless I'm literally adding that to my game for a purpose, I don't believe in that secret squirrel crap. No, everybody's going to sit around the table and everybody's going to be like, hey, so we're going to need a fighter, wizard, thief, the typical four, right? A fighter, wizard, thief, cleric.
Yeah.
Who wants to do what?
Are transparent in the in the beginning of making their characters, they are transparent to each other and transparent to the game master at all times. This makes everybody more comfortable moving forward.
Yes. Yes. Also, now that doesn't mean secrets can't come in later and so forth, and weird things can happen. I mean, hell, I played a character in a Palladium game. What you know what? Lost Ogre's right. I keep coming. Where you were in the game where it's like, or I think you were in the game where I had that where I was playing the Wolfen, where I had the magic sword that was slowly taking me over.
Yep.
So you know things like, excuse me, I got a drink now too. Things like that can happen, but now on the flip side, if the Castle Keeper is running a more sandboxy game, the way Shadzar likes, well, then it a little bit more onus, not a little bit, much more onus goes on the Castle Keeper to make adventures that work for those characters. And since this game is pretty big on the narrative behind the characters, like right here, it says, player decides to play a rogue who is the scion of a wealthy family and decides that this rogue enjoys pilfering the treasures of family acquaintances. Then planning an adventure in a dungeon atop a remote mountain wouldn't work out too well. Well, right. These are background things that I think that Shadzar is against, but I'm totally for. I want you to do this with your character, but I want you to do it at the table.
Within the framework.
Absolutely, within the framework, but at the table with everybody else. And the best game for this, Forbidden Lands. The Year Zero engine. It's not just Forbidden Lands, that's just fantasy. The Year Zero engine, in my opinion, is the best game for this because it is vague enough to, it's just one sentence. Heathen Dog saved me, and I owe him my life. That is my relationship with Heathen Dog. Heathen Dog's relationship with me could be like, this asshole owes me his life, and I'm going to take advantage of it. Or it could be like, wow, he keeps following me around like a puppy dog. I like him and all, but back off, dude. You know, it could be a whole bunch of different things. It's very vague. It's one to two sentences at most, but it forces the characters to have a relationship with each other, and you get experience based on playing within that relationship. And I would say the same thing here for this. So you have part one, which is make your character towards the campaign. That is for somebody like me and Heathen Dog. Again, Heathen Dog's agency take is way different than mine, but we're similar in the fact that I'm coming into this knowing what's going to happen to the world. And if I tell you don't play a fucking Windling Illusionist, sorry, went back to an Earthbound game, a little flashback there. Don't play a Windling Illusionist, okay? If I tell you don't play a Cavalryman because you're going to be exploring dungeons and cares and citadels, oh my, don't do it. You're going to be pissed.
You're going to have a bad time, yeah.
Yeah, you're going to be bored, you know? So I think that this isn't doublespeak. I think this just says, hey, Castle Keepers, it's your game. If you're going to do more sandboxy, well, then make sure that you take the characters into account. That's how I read this. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's my only problem is that the classes and the Castle Keeper paragraph should have been higher, should have been earlier in the book before it talked about players imagining what their character is. First, you got to imagine if your character fits, and then you can imagine because you're gonna lose some imagination getting inside the world, and then you have to pick from that. So my only problem with this is that it should have been early in the book. That's it. Everything else is just fine.
Fair enough. Shadzar said, well, it's Player's Handbook for my games, no bards, scions, or gnomes. Well, I play gnomes constantly, so
that's fine. But hey, that's your framework. You've already taken away some player agency. Good job, by the way. Keep doing it. You've already taken away some player agency, and now they have to imagine inside your box.
I think part of the problem with gnomes is that people want to play them like freaking Dragonlance Tinker Gnomes all the time, which is stupid. That's like saying that every dwarf is a gully dwarf. It's dumb. Gnomes are actually interesting once you get outside the stupid Tinker crap. All right, let's get back to this game. We're talking about Castles and Crusades here. Class description terminology. Okay, you have prime attribute. So we're going to start looking at classes here. I think after the classes will be done for today, and we'll pick this back up next week. Hit dice. And it will tell you what the hit dice is. I'm not going through all this. One, because it's on the screen. You can pause this video later. But two, it's because it's very similar to Dungeons & Dragons, and I think most of you have played Dungeons & Dragons.
Right. The next one is interesting to me.
Which one?
Alignment. Suggested alignment for class? I've never seen that before.
I will tell you right now, I did not read anything on alignments in this game, so I know zero about them at this point.
Well, that's good. And we'll find out together.
I don't know what David the Gnome is. You always come up with weird crap. I wouldn't let you make a character in my game. You just have to stand and watch. So weapons.
No. David the Gnome is an old cartoon.
Oh,
where gnomes, where he rode a fox or something. Like,
I mean,
he was a real gnome. And
so far that isn't problematic.
Yeah, it was a kid show.
Okay. Keeps talking about smacking puppies, so so it's got the weapon again. It's like D&D where you have a list of weapons that you can use, type of armor you can use. One of the things that I want to point out though, is a character may wear any armor. If the armor type does not appear in the list, the character cannot use any of its, god damn it, class abilities while the armor is worn, unless the description of the ability says otherwise.
Yes, items can't possess things. We get it.
See, so but I thought that was so. It's flat out telling you, it's like, of course a wizard can wear armor.
It's just not gonna be a good time for him.
Yeah. Well, never mind. So abilities, these are like the feats, the talents, the superpowers, whatever you want to call it. Skills. I think they're beyond skills. I like the terms talents or feats, even though feats reminds me too much of D&D.
Right.
But they're like the special things that really are signature for your class. So the game that I'm writing, it's funny you say that, because in my game I call them core competencies.
You're stealing from me now, son of a bitch.
I know. I'm going to show you this crap in writing. But
yeah, after you've done just emptying out my brain to put it on your paper.
I know, right? What else can you tell me? So yeah, I call them core competencies in my games because I guess because I had a business mindset at that point. But anyway, they're kind of like the special things that say, hey, this is what makes this class this class. It's the stuff you would expect. I mean, let's be honest, it's stuff you'd expect. But level, characters advance in levels, they gain experience, et cetera. Bonus to hit, modified to hit rolls, and experience. This one threw me off when I first saw it. I had to find this. Like, what the hell is EPP? I keep seeing this goddamn EPP. I mean, in the chart, I recognized it. I
even guessed the experience point progression before. I didn't know what it meant. I said, "Oh, that's probably experience points progression." I actually did that when I first saw it. So yeah, opposite.
Well, look at you being all psychic. All right. So here's the list right here of the armor. So I don't feel like going through every one of these classes in detail. And because of some critiques I have of the game that I want to do today, I would like to skip the first two if you're okay with that.
Well, the first one's Assassin, and the
second one's Barbarian.
Next one's Barbarian.
I'd like to skip to whatever the third one is. I mean, other than to say, I don't know how deep you want to go into them, but just we can look over their abilities.
Assassin and Barbarian seem to be subclasses of Thief and Knight.
Well,
and I'm a little curious as to how they did that. Did they go first edition Thief Acrobat type thing with the Assassin?
I can't tell you enough about that because we didn't play with Assassins even when we did first edition. Okay. But here, how about this? Let's look at what the abilities are. Death Attack. The Assassin studies a victim for 3 rounds and makes a sneak attack that successfully deals damage. Sneak attack can potentially kill the target instantly.
Wow. That's hardcore.
Yes. After completing 3 rounds of study. So you have to sit there for 3 rounds and study.
And you have to be hidden those times to, because if some guy sees you staring at you, like, dude, what are you doing?
And unlike Earth Dawn, this isn't a magical hiding ability. You actually have to hide properly.
Right.
So anywho, where is it? If the death attack is attempted and fails because the victim succeeds at saving throw, the assassin cannot make another attempt at a death attack. Disguise, with a successful check, obviously based on charisma, the successful check, assassin can disguise or impersonate people. Actually, no, this is right. It says assassins. He didn't say an assassin this time. My bad. I growled
to impersonate general types of people as well as individuals.
Yes.
Okay. All right. That's good.
For example, a human assassin might impersonate a taller elf mage. Now, it doesn't say that this ability is magical or illusory. So does that mean you have to have the items to do it? Disguise can include apparent change of height or weight no more than 1/10. Apparently, it is magical. There's no way you can shrink yourself 1/10 your size.
Well, no, but there are tricks with your posture and gait that you can simulate yourself a couple inches shorter, a couple inches taller. That's possible.
Yeah, you know what? With the world is not CGI, but the world of like the way lighting works and cinematography, I guess I could see that.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not complaining. I'm just saying.
Yeah, you can get up to 2 inches in height just with proper lifts in your shoes.
Well, height, the raising, yes, it's the shrinking part.
Well, the shrinking, posture and gait. You can go down up to 2 inches. I see it. I can see it.
Yeah, but this says 1/10 your height. No, it does say right here, requires a few props, makeup, one. Okay, so definitely not magical, which I like. And I'm not going to argue the 10%. I don't care. Like, do it. I'm just saying, like, that's interesting. So there's penalties to changing your sex, changing your race, and for an age difference of more than 10 years. I don't know about this one.
Well, age difference of more than 10 years, I get. There's only so much you can do with makeup without it looking fake. And
I'm not going to complain. I'm just saying, I would still apply the rule. I don't have a problem with it. So you could follow a target through a large crowd for 3 rounds. Yeah, because I mean, I guess as long as the target isn't aware of you. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And as a matter of fact, you skipped over the ability case target.
Did I?
Yeah. Using this ability, the assassin can determine information and weaknesses about a potential opponent. And there's another one for where is it? Oh, damn it. Traps. I thought there was one for nope, I was wrong. There's nothing here that is specific for what do you call it? Shadowing somebody.
Shazzer says he has a problem with 1/10 your own size. I mean,
well, think of it this way. How many inches tall am I?
I'll let you know in that second. I just want to say one thing. These are cinematic rules.
Right.
Not realistic rules.
That's fair. So I'm 70 inches tall. So 10% would be 7 inches. Yeah. That's a lot. That is not realistic for having it not be magic. Plus or minus 2, maybe 3 for my height. I could buy without magic, but anything more than that. If I was going by more realistic ideas, then yeah, it would have to be magic. But this game, just like you said, is a more cinematic and dramatic take on it.
It doesn't say down to 10%. It is by 10%.
Yeah.
So, but still, yeah, reducing 7 inches. I agree. I say this. I think it fits within the scope of the game. I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
It fits within the scope.
Yeah, you have to suspend the disbelief.
Exactly, which sometimes I struggle doing. Hide, obviously, that's your typical hide. There is
question about hide. I want you to read it because I want to see if hide is basically you hide in a corner in a shadow, or can you hide in a crowd? Can you blend in a crowd? I want to know that.
Assassins use this ability to conceal themselves from others. A successful check means that the assassin is hidden so well as to be almost invisible. The assassin can move up to 1/2 normal speed and remain hidden. Well, that kind of answers right there, but hide checks suffer no penalty in the circumstance. At more than 1/2 and up to full speed, the character suffers a -5 penalty to the check to remain hidden. It is practically impossible to hide while running or charging. If the character is being observed, even casually, he can't hide. If observers are momentarily distracted, however, the character can attempt to hide. While the observer averts its attention from the character can attempt to get a hiding place. Oh, this check is at a -10 penalty. Okay, no, I'm good with this so far. And has to move quickly to the hiding place. An assassin cannot hide if there's nothing to hide behind or conceal oneself with. Deep shadows can count as concealment at the keeper's castle creeper. Wow. That's the horror version of the game.
Right.
Discretion.
Assassins cannot hide and move silently at the same time until they reach 3rd level. Okay. All right.
At this level and beyond, but it's at a -5 check.
-5, right.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, okay, it's fine. I was more like 2 to follow someone, stay behind them in a crowded place for 3 rounds to get there, to get your assassin moment, come up on them, and then disappear into the crowd before they even fall dead to the ground. I want to see if they had rules specifically for that, but that's going to be, I guess,
well, they use poison.
Give and take with the assassin and the castle keeper.
Then there's sneak attack. You got your death attack, and you have a sneak attack.
Right, and this one's a death attack because you're actually shadowing him for 3 rounds to do the observation, but he can't know you're there. So
when an opponent or victim is aware of the assassin but unsuspecting of any attack, this ability can be used. So sneak attack doesn't give the death bonus or anything like that. So they're used differently, and I think they're written well enough to say, hey, you're going to be using sneak attack a lot more than death attack.
Right.
But if you plan it out, you can use your death attack.
Right. The death attack seems more like he's eating dinner and you have a crossbow outside the window across the courtyard, and you take time to prep everything, and you're aiming for 3 rounds and then you fire. That's your death attack. But the thing I'm talking about, the assassination in public, that's more of a sneak attack, according to these rules, it seems like.
Well, you can, as long as you're hiding.
The death attacks, you can't hide and move casually. So you're not going to be able to shadow him.
Why not?
Because he's probably moving at a normal pace, and you're not allowed to.
If it's a crowded street in a crowded city. If it's just you and him, you're right.
Yeah, I know. But see, that's the thing. And there's no rules for my specific example. So that means that me as the assassin and the castle keeper are going to have to do a parlay and figure out how that would be categorized.
There are rules in this game for that specifically say, castle keeper, make a decision, move on.
Great. Outstanding. Love it.
It kind of says players deal with whatever decision's made.
Also love that. Taking away more agency. I'm for it.
All right. So the traps one is kind of interesting because it talks about resetting traps that were previously disabled and so forth, which a lot of games don't go into. I like the fact that specific rules for that. I can't read it without screaming. So we're going to move on. Prime attribute, dexterity. Makes sense? It does. D6.
Another thing, and I hope this continues with the other classes, that if you look at the attributes connected to all these skills, they're all over the place. Charisma, dexterity, intelligence, all within that one class. Wisdom.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
I don't know if it does. I didn't look at the classes close enough.
You have to specialize your assassin right out of the gate when you are choosing your primary abilities.
I'm guessing most will be going for the attack, so probably going with dexterity.
Dexterity and intelligence is probably what's going to be because
I would probably do charisma.
Yeah, if you are an infiltrator, like more of a spy, then charisma, wisdom, and dex is probably what you're going to do if you're human. Or
see, that's how I always see assassins. I know a lot of people don't. They see them as more killers for hire, but I've always seen them like the James Bond kind of thing. More of like the spy, the person that's hanging up from the rafters, with the proverbial string, and puts the drop of poison on there, and it's like, bye.
Well, there's your 2 different types of assassins. You got the guy who drips poison into someone's open sleeping mouth, and then you have the guy who just walks up behind someone and just stabby stab like in a prison shower, and then runs away. And you would choose that kind of assassin based on what you choose as your primary and secondary characteristics. Because you have to specialize, because there's too many here. There's too many that are different for even a human to keep up with all of them. So you are not going to be jack of all trades assassin. You're going to be a specialized assassin depending on what you pick as your primary stats. And I hope that continues on with the other classes.
The best way to remove agency nonsense, make pre-gens for each character. You really don't like people sitting at your game, do you? You just don't want people to play. Let's see. I've done I'll do pre-gens for like conventions and so forth, but I'm never going to do
one-shot games.
Yeah. Right. I will never do one for a long term.
No.
So it goes into poisons here, which I really like being here. It seems like a good spot for it because who's going to need the poison?
Assassin, yeah.
And it fits the same. I can't say it's exact because I don't know them well enough, but it fits the same mold as AD&D and even Astonishing Swordsmen and Sorcerers. See, I've DM for 25 years. I want to play for a damn change. Well, stop trying to tell people how to run their games then. Barbarian. Primary attribute is Constitution right out of the gate.
Makes sense.
Beyond the Walls, I don't want to read the whole thing.
No, you don't have to. We can go on to one that you want to look at, like Wizard or Druid. Well, Druid, I have never liked the way Druids have been portrayed in any game. I'm wondering if this one is different.
Okay, we'll get that in a second. There is something about the Barbarian I did want to. Where is it? It's about magic. Barbarians are born and raised in wildlands, possess general knowledge of its weather pattern. Because it says in here about they only use magic. Never. Don't bug them with. Oh, it's Barbarian. Oh, and that they'll tell their own chieftains to go get fucked and then get killed.
I don't see that.
Everett, here he goes. Supernatural dominates their culture, and they see magic in many things. They're able to tap into the supernatural world and often do so in the guise of charms, totems, and the like. Conversely, they will never rely upon it, ever. Magic is a luxury, even as are the soft cushions and colored wines that besought the men in cities and towns, and of cities and towns. It's a sign of weakness. At its core, the barbarian is a primordial creature who believes that only his natural powers, abilities, and instincts, and totems, stand between him and a miserable fate for a cowardly death. I like that dichotomy. Like, yeah, we'll have totems. They're not magical. Leave me alone.
But they are. Shut up.
Right. That's gross, by the way. No, it's a dragon head. Whirlwind attack at 4th level is kind of neat. That's again, it's all metaphoric. The same stuff you'd expect. He spins around in a circle and mashes a bunch of people.
Right.
Ancestral Calling, which was call upon others to fight alongside the barbarian with heightened ability. No, a buff. So, did we look at see if instincts? So these are just ability. Okay, Constitution there. That's the only one that requires a stat. It's probably because barbarians aren't the brightest people. They're not well rounded.
Yeah, these are all more abilities. There's only I only see one that's an actual roll. All these are just granted abilities.
I'm going to scroll through this slowly so people can pause, the YouTube side if they really want to. This is the Bard. Legend lore, again, based off D&D. And I'm not saying that with any negativity, by the way. Exhort greatness. Inspire greatness. Cleric. Typical. Although the way spell progression is, or not progression, initial spell selection is more like Astonishing Swordsman. Hey, baby, I'll worship your god. Druid should be next. And I don't know what 0th level spells are in this game. I'm going to go out and say right now, if any 0th level spell can heal or damage, I'm removing it. It's that simple. That's one of the craptastic things of 3rd, 4th, 5th edition D&D is our 0th level spells that can heal. Nope. Druid, all right. Beyond the confines of walls and city battlements, within the vast expanse of the wilderness areas of the world, are many folk who live with contentment outside of civilization. Okay, so barbarian, right?
Sounds right.
Those who push aside material culture to live in harmony with nature often draw upon its forces for spiritual guidance and commune with its spirits. These are the Druids, and they offer guidance and wisdom about the order of life in the world, the cycle of life and death, and acceptance thereof. Druids are feared by many. They call upon the power of elemental and nature spirits, and they can gather great hosts of nature to fight for their causes. Well, right now, seek to protect wilderness, material culture.
Just sounds like a cleric of nature. This is the problem I have with Druids. They're either unplayable as a character class because the beliefs are so different than everyone else, or they're just a different color of cleric. So they're not unique in any way.
Well,
shape,
I
or
don't.
form.
Well, see, I actually like them as being a different color of cleric because I like the priests from AD&D.
Mm.
The way I always ran it were clerics were generic. They worshiped a pantheon. Priests followed a god. And it's one of the few things that Forgotten Realms got right. They had way too many gods, but if you followed this god, you had these spheres, you also got a special power or something from that as well to say, hey, I'm a priest. They also got more limitations. Most of them couldn't wear a lot of armor and so forth. So I always saw druids as just priests, just a type of priest, but a very common type of priest in the D&D.
Just a priest of nature.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, it's kind of like rice pudding. I'll explain.
Okay. Please.
When I was in training in Mississippi, they had the chow hall. All the food was created by the local populace, and I had rice pudding there for the first time, and it was goddamn amazing. Every time I see rice pudding on a menu, everywhere else I go in the country, I try it, and it always sucks because I'm comparing it to the rice pudding in Mississippi, and that's what druids are like. I saw Druid done really well one time, and every other time it's like, it's crap. It's crap. Geez, tastes like shit. This same thing. I'm having that problem, and I still have that problem here. But that's me. That's just me. I'm not saying the Druid here is bad. I'm just saying it's not my rice pudding.
It makes sense. I mean, I like druids. One of the things that I see wrong so many times about people who play druids is, and when I say wrong, this is my opinion, so don't do this in my game, but if somebody else lets you get by with it, fine. The first one is the whole, you have to maintain the balance. So for this fight, I'm going to join the player characters with the city. For this fight, I'm going to join the orcs. No, a druid would never join the orcs. Because orcs ravage lands. Like, ravage woodlands. Well, but the humans, right? No, orcs are bad. They're evil. They're monsters. Whole different episode, but, The other one, it's always about that neutrality thing that, with neutral, I can't make a decision. Yes.
Yeah, I know.
Yes,
True neutral. Shut up. That doesn't exist. There's no such thing.
I sure it does. It exists. The thing is people pigeonhole themselves into, I can't make a decision. Yes, you can absolutely make a decision. You care about the greater whole. You don't care about the here and now. You care about the final result, the big picture. So yes, if you make a mistake, we'll say, make a mistake right now and become a little more lawful, and oops, you kind of swung that pendulum too far and chaos is going to reign supreme. Well, then you look at how you can fix that. But it isn't like, I broke my alignment, I screwed my character over. What you do on the small scale of killing 10 orcs or teaching a village how to plow lands or whatever does not affect the grand scale of things. You have to make sure you affect the grand scale of things. If you're doing every little minutia as part of the alignment, then that goes way too far in. The other one is the druid who's like, you touched a plant, I shall kill you. Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, these are the same people that have "please don't walk on the grass" signs, when that's the main way grass propagates itself, by animals walking on it and spreading this very small seeds around. That's how it works. Walking on it helps grass. Stuff like that, it pisses me off in games. And yeah, you're right about that. But true neutral is never done correctly. I've never seen it done correctly.
I've seen it done correctly. It's not necessarily the easiest to play, but I've seen it done correctly. Again, it just goes into, in fact, some people argue, I'm not saying they're right, wrong, or otherwise, because I see where they're coming from. I just don't always agree with how big they take it. As I say, true neutral is the easiest because pretty much everything is true neutral as long as you're not disrupting the entirety of the world, so to speak.
But the thing is, if you want to make a cool hero's journey type campaign, at the end of it, you're going to conquer the evil, and there's going to be more good than evil in the world. Technically, the true neutral druid in your party now has to stop you.
No, he doesn't have to stop you.
Yes, he does. Because defeating the evil, the great evil in the world, will cause an imbalance on a grand scale.
A temporary, well, if it's that grand, well, maybe, but it'll be a temporary imbalance because the druid also knows that evil will always rise again in that regard. So, I mean, I can see what you're saying.
This is the literal end of the campaign, though. So, you don't know if there's going to be a sequel.
It doesn't matter. The character has to pretend, unless everybody's committing suicide at the end of it, the character has to,
That's possible.
Well, then okay. But the character has to be played as if the assumption is that he's going to continue on with life after this. And you know what? One day, yes, we wiped out all the orcs, but what is it said about the Sith? There are always two, a student and a master. Yoda thought he wiped out the Sith 1,000 years ago. He was wrong. So, to bring this back on track, I get it. And I agree with the people who say no true neutral. I agree with the people who say yes true neutral. And I even agree with the people who say true neutral is everything. Because I can understand where they're coming from. Just let me know how you're doing it in your game and we'll figure it out from there. What I do have a problem with are, like I said, are the druids that are played like, again, cavaliers. There's a difference between a cavalier and a paladin. Maybe we should look at paladin next after this one. Because I despise players who play their paladins like as in, thief, did you just steal that? Yes. I will cut off your hand. That's not a paladin. That's a crusader. Mm-hmm. Paladins are humble.
Yeah, they lead by example. Oh, you're going to get a talking to, and you may get a couple of books that the paladin wants you to read in hopes that you will change your ways.
You're going to be writing 10 or 100 sentences. I will not steal. I will not steal.
But he's not going to beat you up or cut off your hands or anything dumb like that. He's going to try to encourage you to change of your own volition because that's where true change originates. The paladin understands that. The crusader does not.
Right, exactly. Evil and good should be even. Law and chaos should be even. Yes, but on a grander scale. Yeah, a bit of chaos here is okay, knowing that over there's a lot. Or let's use wildfires. That's a perfect example. A druid probably wouldn't stop wildfire. One, because hey, California, I'm talking to you. You let that shit burn out, your stuff will grow back better. Just saying. Number one. But two, that the wildfire itself might be chaotic, but after it will come the order and the regrowth.
Right. But actually, a druid would have known that hey, it's going to be a dry summer. I'll do some controlled burns. Perhaps. To make sure that a big, huge landscape devastating burn doesn't happen. That's what a druid would do.
Those landscape devastating burns, though, are what got California its redwoods.
Yeah, I know.
Before we moved in, and
yeah,
and now we stop all that.
But if the druid in his decision has decided that no, it would affect the ecosystem too much if it all burned too fast, I'll do controlled burns here and there, stuff like that. That druid would. The thing is, your druid would be very thoughtful in the process of creating action.
Sure.
Thoughtful of the consequences.
Understands that, nature is nature. Nature is unpredictable and wild. You have to deal with that. At the same time, what we can harness to, keep the growth of the world, to keep the balance.
Right.
All right. So bonus language. Druids have a secret language used for communicating with another. They didn't do that in second edition, did they? I think they did in first edition, but not second edition, right?
Yeah. Do thieves have this? Thief can't? I don't know.
I'm pretty sure I saw that when I was scrolling. Okay. Forbidden from teaching language to any but their brethren. I'm pretty sure that this was a first edition thing, if I remember correctly. Anyway, additionally, if a druid has a high enough intelligence to learn additional language, the following languages are available. Aquan, Oran, Elf. So this kind of uses like the more of the third edition type language, which is one of the few things from third edition I think was done well. Like I have a language chart in my second edition player's handbook, and it's got like thousands of languages on it. You could barely read it. The print is so small because of all the different realms and so on and so forth. And it was dumb. I got it there because I don't know why I got it there, but it was dumb. The person I got it from loved it. How many languages do they have in third edition? Like 15, 20? Including like the astral, the devil, the demon, whatever they call them there, abyssal and so forth. Mm-hmm. I think that was done well. Now, how many you get, I still think is too many, but it's more of a superhero game than it is a realistic game. So anyway, we'll move on. Nature lore is based on wisdom. Let me guess. Yep, druids are wisdom, of course. Nature lore is wisdom. Druids are connected to the force of nature. They mystically coexist with their environment, gradually becoming a larger part of it. This relationship of person specialized knowledge of the wilds. Druid can identify plants and animals with perfect accuracy in the type of environment where the druid was trained or currently lives. This is the type of thing that, going back to your wildfire thing,
yep.
I would use nature lore as the role to see if the
how he handles the idea of a wildfire could happen here. What do I do?
Even if let's say you and I were both druids, okay? Mm-hmm. Even if my plan was to say, let it all burn down to the ground, and your plan was no, let's have controlled burns. Even if both were correct, or both were possible, or well, let me phrase it: nature lore, the roll could be made, and of course, there are two results that could come from that. And I'm just talking on successes. Yeah, yes, Max, you're right, or no, Max, you're wrong, but you know that because your nature lore roll. I could still see it going both ways, where both druids could, in their own minds, be right.
Right.
And this nature lore
for the environment be right as well.
Right.
What if both things give a positive result to the environment? Then they're both right.
Exactly. And with this, we could roll like, okay, well, you know what? I don't feel like doing the work, so if you want to do it your way, because that seems like a lot of fire breaks. Oof, dude, I'm not digging anything. But have fun. You know,
or all burn down because you're lazy. That's
yeah, exactly. Or it could come back where he rolls and he's like, no, Max, you're a dumbass. You're gonna get here's your shovel.
Right. Now, I've scrolled through this with you, and I'm disappointed that the abilities didn't follow the what was the example from the assassin, where you have to specialize, because there's no way you could have primary stats fill all of these abilities. Almost everyone else is one or two abilities, or they're all just granted powers with no roll whatsoever.
Right. Well,
And
nature lore is a roll.
I don't like that. I don't like it. I was really excited for everything to be like the assassin, where you'll never be master of all of these skills. You're going to have to internally specialize, and that will actually help you flesh out your character. But no, they don't do that. Except for the assassin.
Well, so far, I think
I've been scrolling through here. It's usually on the usually two.
Again, remember cinematic play.
Yeah,
wizard, I'm not using that as an excuse.
The wizard has none.
Wow, I haven't even looked at the wizard. Surprising that I've read the magic section pretty thoroughly, but I haven't looked at the wizard class at all. I did look at the illusionist class a little bit.
Except spellcasting. That's it.
Okay, well, we'll get to that in a moment. So it's just to finish up here with the druid, since we started this one. Cast divine spells, of course, available listed on the druids, but each druid can cast a limited number of spells per day. Oh, by the way, nope, we're going to talk about magic next week.
Yep.
The magic preparation rules in this game, I like. But we'll do that next week. Bonus spells from high wisdom, of course. Resist elements at second level. Druids gain +2 to saving throws against fire, water. Okay, makes sense. It's a druid. D8. Yep. Neutral, any neutral alignment. Like, again, I don't know how this game is. It this typical 9 alignment system? I don't know. Oops, I'm sorry, I missed something on YouTube side. I got rid of alignment because most players can't do alignments right. Well, it's very subjective, and even if you read books on the alignment or old Dragon magazine articles and so forth, even the original developers, and I'm not talking Gygax, Arneson, I'm talking like a lot of people that did a lot of the writing for the games, Cook and a guy who did Forgotten Greenwood and so on and so forth, didn't see eye to eye on the alignments thing. I personally use alignments as a guide. If I see a chaotic good character following the law, I'm not punishing him, because you know what? It could just be part of his nature. Now, if he's constantly supporting the group, following the law, doing everything right, be like, hey man, I don't think you're actually chaotic good anymore. I think, but we'll talk about that. I know some people use the morality system from like Dragonlance First Edition.
I love that one.
Or Professor Dungeon Master has his own version of it.
Mm-hmm.
I like that as well. Absolutely do. My main reason for using alignment still is because some of the core constructs of the game follow it. I don't hate alignment. I never have hated alignment. I think it has its purpose. I think 5th edition took alignment away too much, but I think that 1st and 2nd edition used alignment too much. That's, again, my opinion. I think as long as you're staying within the general framework of it, a neutral evil person could absolutely justify helping somebody, once in his life or whatever, just maybe feel good, or, and that's selfish enough, whatever, it's when the character rationalizes it over and over and over again that I have a problem. But I do understand, some people don't use it. And truthfully, I play a lot of games that don't use alignment. Yeah. It's just, to me, it fits into Dungeons and Dragons so well. If I'm going to use an alignment system, are you ready to talk about this game system again? I like the Palladium alignment system.
I knew you were going to say that, because it's lending itself to much more nuance, I think, than neutral good, lawful good, chaotic good. I mean, functionally it's the same, but it's more realistic in its approach and its execution.
The only thing that I don't like about the Palladium alignment system is when people go down and says, well, it says number 14 right here. A scrupulous character will always blah, blah, well, I shouldn't say always, will usually blah, blah, blah. And I did that. And now you're telling they're guidelines.
Usually.
Guidelines. Yeah.
Usually.
That's where I run into is when somebody gets really nutty about that. You know,
yeah.
it's like,
well, I don't want to play with that guy.
Right. But as long as you're playing your character, you know, I keep that list next to me. I keep my alignment list next to me, and I actually will look at it and be like, okay, my character's of this alignment, let's say unprincipled, would my character do these things? Oh, yes, I can torture, but only evil people. Is this person evil? You know, I mean, I'll do things like that. Not just to play the mechanics, but because I think it helps shape the character a little better. All right, Druid Games new totem shape. Actually, I wanted to read the totem shape thing. Spelling with a change in a smaller, medium-sized animal. Okay, so totem shape is an actual animal. That's what I thought. Yeah. Like a polymorph. Okay, so that's the same Druid stuff that we're all used to. All right, I'm going to skip all the way down.
Go
to Wizard. I'm going to Wizard. I wanted to look at Knight, but that's too far today. I think Wizard, we're done. What do you think?
Yep.
What page is Wizard on?
It's on page 46. Bottom of.
Well, that's the Wizard right there.
Nope.
No, that is not the Wizard. This dude, who is this guy then? Was that the Ranger?
Yep.
That guy isn't a Ranger.
Hey, I'm just saying, he's not a Wizard.
He's got a stick.
Yes, you're right, he does. But
that's the Wizard.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the Wizard. Anyway, okay. Intelligence, of course. Do you notice that the experience points for each of the classes is a little different?
Yep.
Kind of like the old editions of D&D.
Olden days.
I'm never a fan of 0-level spells. I get it. They're supposed to be cantrips. That's one of the things from 3rd edition that I know a lot of people like. I do not like their I don't now, this is going to sound weird. I don't mind a character having multiple cantrips as long as the cantrips are treated like 1st and 2nd edition, where it's obvious magical effects can have no bonus in combat or relevance in combat. They're used as parlor tricks just to make a little coin or something. Okay, so abilities, gets spells, gets bonus spells. All right.
That's it.
Spell books. Wait, what? All right, well.
That's it. Spells are all, their abilities are spells. That's it.
Okay. Well, I mean, wow, look at that experience points.
Turn undead, doesn't he? Shit. Why did the Wizard get a little love?
I read the magic section, like I said, for the most part already, and the Wizard does get some love.
Get some cool stuff?
I read more on the Illusionist than the Wizard. I love the write-up for the Illusionist. I really do. I love write-up for the Illusionist. Really, because it's very Earth Dawn-esque in the way it was written. Where it's like, not everything the Illusionist does is an illusion. But why am I talking about that? Next week. That's next week. Anything regarding character classes or races. We didn't do races, did we?
No. That's okay.
Should we save that?
All right. We'll save it. We'll save it.
Okay. Next week we'll start with races. Yeah, because the magic section isn't going to take all that long. No. I mean, we're not going to read through every spell. I just want to talk about the differences between Illusionist and the Wizard, and Druid and Cleric. So, okay. So that's going to be it for this portion of it. I am literally going to kick Heathen Dog out of here. You ready for me to kick you out?
All right.
Well, I go through my next part. And then I would tell you that it'll take 5 minutes, but I'm talking, so it'll probably take 10 minutes. So go visit your child.
All right.
Hug your wife.
Okay.
And I'm going to critique the game at this moment in time.
Oh, wait, before you do, I just want to reiterate one more time that I was really excited when I read Assassin, and then I got disappointed. It was like it brought me up, and then the fall was worse.
Did it take you away from the game, or is it just one of those things you got too hyped at the beginning?
I got excited for the possibility, and then the possibility wasn't there. It doesn't mean it doesn't mean the classes are wrong or bad. It's just that it could have been so much more if like you had four or five different primary stat rolls in each class, so you have to choose what kind of warrior you are or what kind of wizard or stuff like that. Like it did for Assassin. That would have been amazing. It doesn't make it bad. It just means, in my opinion, it is they missed the ball on that one.
I haven't done the core competency for the wizards in my game. Maybe I'll steal your idea now.
Hey, there you go.
Well, my core competencies are actually written up more like the OCCs from Palladium. God, we keep saying that. See, now you got me thinking about that. Thank you, Lost Ogre. And what I mean by that is some things you must take, but there's choice after that. I mean,
Right.
in order to be a wizard, you have to be able to read magic.
Right. You have to be able to read magic, write magic,
Yeah.
understand symbols and whatnot, because it's used in casting spells, and everything else is, well, it's your
shit.
Your what?
Not you.
Oh.
Why? Where is? Did I not save this link?
All right, so I'm going to leave now.
Well, I got to bring the book back up because I have to show it.
Oh, okay.
Damn it. And I closed it out, and apparently I didn't save it in my... I'll kick you out and just say, yeah, keep talking until I find it.
Okay. So yeah, it doesn't make the everything but assassin bad. It's just that they missed an ability to just raise it up another level. Like if a fighter, all of those abilities for fighters, the weapon specialization, the armor bonuses, or whatever that a fighter gets, if they were all linked to strength, constitution, dexterity, and maybe throw in a wisdom in there, boom, make it 4. Even a human can only get 3 primary stats. Then the next one's going to be secondary. So you have to choose which one of those is going to be secondary, which is going to specialize you a little bit as a fighter. I like that idea.
Caveat that with one thing, because I agree with you in theory, but I not in practice. And here's what I mean by that. They would need to have more abilities, because those are like the core abilities of the class, right?
Yes.
If I'm playing that class, I need to know that I can do all of my core abilities at the proper efficiency. So if, let's say, the assassin had 10 abilities, I don't know what the other ones would be, but
whatever,
then I would be totally fine with maybe some more stalking type stuff or so. I don't know. I'd be absolutely fine with that, because then I could pick the ones that go more with the attributes I pick. And then the discussion becomes, or decision point comes, I've made my character. Now, do I make wisdom my primary, or I guess for the charisma my primary, or intelligence my primary? Am I going to be more of a stabby, or am I going to be more of a disguise artist? But then there should be enough of those disguise artist type abilities where I could take most of those, and then maybe I have one or
and
two
still be viable. Right. I get it. Now, what they did instead was that the assassin appears to be a super outlier, because everyone else has two primaries. The rest of it is granted abilities that have no role. That's all the rest of it.
I get you.
So the assassin is a complete outlier from the rest of the classes, how they're built and how they're utilized in at least character creation, which I find strange. Why have an outlier? Bring him into the fold. Do it all the same way. But no, assassin is done completely differently than everyone else for some reason. I don't get it. I like it better than the rest of it, but whatever. That's just me. It doesn't make it bad. It's a ball that was dropped that could have been better. All right, so I'm out now.
Yep, I'm gonna kick you out, and I'll bring you back. I know technically pop in.
I got you.
I'm removing you. Bye. All right. So, and the reason why I'm kicking him out is because we're gonna have a discussion, you guys and me, on here. So Charlotte Williams, for those of you confused about alignments, basically 2-word cheat code for how things tend to react in combat and roleplay scenarios. Chaotic evil would be selfish and cowardly, for example. Again, everybody, I agree with your definition, Charlotte Williams. So I think that was very well done. In fact, I'll put that on the screen. Boom. I just know that DMs that I've played with have different views. Some are very stick in the mud, like, you will do it this way. This is the only way to do it, and any interpretation is wrong. Others are like, alignments, screw that. So there is no one right way to play. There's just the right way to play for your group. But I do agree with what Charlotte Williams said. And Shadzar keeps throwing up his first edition propaganda, and I'm not. And actually, the first edition, I think that first edition, the graphic of it did represent it better than the tic-tac-toe board. But, all right, so here's what I'm going to talk about. I have quibbles. Anybody who's followed this channel for any length of time has heard me talk knows I have quibbles with grammar. I've got to preface this with, I am not a grammar expert. Now, there are things I know. I do technical writing in the real world. So no, I am not a narrative author, but I do technical writing, and I know how technical writing should look. I QC technical writing, I QA technical writing, I perform technical writing. A player's handbook is a book that should be written in a style of technical writing. Okay, so there are some things with that. I don't buy into this fucking narrative. Sorry, I'm still segment 1. I'm not supposed to cuss too much, but I don't buy into this narrative that writing is an art and we do it as we want to. No. You do that for novels, and you do that for short stories, and you do that for blog posts. You don't do that for a technical man. So what are my problems with this? I love this game from what I've read so far, and I want to buy it, but I will not buy it in its current format. And yes, I am a stick in the mud when it comes to this stuff. And Steven, if you're watching, I'm not going to nitpick every little thing I found wrong because I don't have time for that. But I am going to point out a couple of sections. The first one, we're going to start with Assassin on page 19. Now, anybody who's watched this channel long enough is going to know one of the things I'm going to talk about, but I have 2 others on top of that. And the only person who knows what they are is Ravenslayer. Page 19. So let's start off. And if anybody wishes to debate me on this, you're welcome to come on the show during segment 3 and debate me, because I've been waiting for somebody to debate on this. I get some comments on occasions like, you're so old and a grognard, blah, 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 but they don't have the balls to actually tell me to my face because they're wrong. Anyway, so I'm starting on page 19. Assassins can be either heroes to the downtrodden or knaves filed by the elite. This is correct. No issues there, okay? But it says, the assassins serve both the weak and the strong, good and evil. Hold on. Oh, it should just be, remove the, it should just be assassins serve both weak and strong. There's no the that needs to be there. That I think was just a typo. So kind of nitpicky on that one, but I wrote it down because we're only going to go through the assassin and the barbarian, nothing else. That's just a typo. I'm not too concerned about that one. 4th paragraph, of particular note. Of particular note is an assassin's reliance on poisons to accomplish a task set before them. Horrible sentence. How it should read, of particular note is the assassin's reliance on poisons to accomplish the task. Bam. You don't need this them bullshit, first of all. But this is already understood as part of that. By the way, for people new to the channel, don't ever use them, they, them as pronoun antecedent agreement based on pronoun antecedent agreement rules for singular. Ever. And no, I am not going to let dumb little blog posts and social media say, well, we do that to be gender inclusive, because everything I do when I correct this right here is going to be gender inclusive. Everything. Because I get that. But you don't do it by dumbing down the language. See, page 19, special. Heavy armor is uncomfortable. This was a sentence that was written poorly. To page 19, was it? Special. Okay. An assassin may wear... an assassin may wear leather armor, leather coat pattern, play without a... They may wear... Okay. An assassin may wear other types of armor, but the character suffer penalties in this... Oh, is it up here? Where the hell was it? Okay. Heavy armor that is uncomfortable, noisy, or bulky precludes optimal performance. When I read that sentence, the first thing I thought is like, oh, so if I get it fitted to me, I'm just fine. Now, the next sentence says no to that. But this sentence is very poorly written. How it should read is, heavy armor is uncomfortable, noisy, and bulky. Thus, it precludes optimum performance. And then the rule is clear and concise. And really, all of these sentences here, all of them should start with assassins. None of them should ever start with an assassin. Stay consistent. And this is not the writer's fault. This is the editor's fault. This is why I was calling out the editor. It's absolutely the editor's fault. So next is, we're going to skip to page 21 because you get the idea there. Traps. It reads, right here, if an assassin is resetting a trap that they previously disabled, first of all, an assassin and they do not go together, especially when the rest of the book doesn't. And that's the part I'm going to get to at the end. I'm not even arguing about the they-them crap. I'm arguing about something else when you get to the end. So it says, if an assassin is resetting a trap that they previously disabled, the assassin gets a +5 bonus to the check. Now, this one's a little harder to fix, but it has 2 problems. Number one is passive voice. Shouldn't be resetting. You're writing a technical manual. You're not writing a book or talking to your friends or an email. It's a technical manual. Use active voice. It should read, if an assassin resets a trap previously disabled by the assassin, the character gains a +5 bonus to the check. The amount of time required to set or reset a trap depends on the complexity of the trap. Typically, it takes 1d4 rounds. Not typically taking 1d4 rounds. Stop using passive voice. And the reason I'm getting this kind of nitpicky and I'm only going through 2 of them is because I love this game, but this absolutely takes me out of the ability. I won't pay for it. You're not going to pay for the time for a good editor. I'm not going to pay for the time for your game. But I absolutely adore everything I've read about the game and what I've read through the game so far, the system and so forth. There are other options here, but this is most similar to the writing style. But yeah, there are other things you could have done with this bottom part here, but I mean, I try to keep it with the similar writing style with the book. So, page 20. So now we're going to get into the Barbarian. They may be insular and suspicious of outsiders, but when a barbarian comes to trust others and call them friend, just put an S there. Call them friends. You everything was pronoun. They that day. There's no problem with that day. That day is good. Maybe insular and suspicious of outsiders, but when a barbarian comes to trust others and call them friends, or put it in quotes, I guess. No stranger ally, stronger ally can be found in all of them. Combat sense. I do have a point to all of this, by the way. And it's not just, Max is going off on pronoun use again. No, I have a point to all of this. We'll just have to bear with me here because I'm showing multiple instances of this. So I'm showing you it's not just one typo. Barbarian has an uncanny sense for the presence of foes in the immediate vicinity, reducing the effectiveness of surprise flank rear attacks against them. This should be barbarians, plural. Them, barbarians. By the way, most of the Barbarian one is actually written pretty well. Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, because if you look, a Barbarian, so it changes to barbarians, right? You look at the second sentence, starts right off with barbarians. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. There's no consistency. Sorry, Stephen, but if you're an editor, get consistency. Even if you do consistency with the SJW, nonsensical, gender-neutral bullshit with they, them. Actually, no, let me rephrase that. Gender-neutral is absolutely okay, and that's the way I'm writing my book. But using they, them, that's lazy talk. That's how a 5-year-old uses grammar. All you have to do is change this crap to this, and you win. And you've done it so many times. That's what gets me. And so here's because I'm done with this part. Let's pull this off. We can stop this now. I'm full screen. Look, one of the writers in this book is very distinguishable to me. They both the people. I really believe that the 2 people who are the authors of the books literally wrote different portions of the book. Because one of the writers is very distinguishable to me, and he uses a lot of the character. In fact, when I talked to somebody, I was like, wow, he says the character too many times. No, that's actually how it's supposed to work. That's English. It is absolutely well written. Another one writes weirdly, and that's what the editor's job is to fix. It's not the writer's fault, it's the editor's fault. And as much as I hate and will not purchase products that use they as a singular pronoun, at least be fucking consistent about it. That was the egregious part to me, was the inconsistency. The passive voice. This guy uses passive voice, this one doesn't. You can literally go through the book and see 2 distinct writing styles. I actually thought 3 at one point, but we'll say 2. I mean, and the other one is the one I didn't talk about. I'm sorry, I have examples on note cards right here, but I didn't put it in my notes here. Is they use the word that a lot. If they just removed the word that where it was totally unneeded, they could probably have saved a tree. Like, they love to use the word that, and it was driving me crazy. You know, when you move, I don't have an example. There's probably one on this page that I could see, but anyway, those 3 things would drive me batshit crazy. So I'll conclude by saying, whoever wrote page 70 of this book should write the entire book. For anybody who's got it open in front of them right now, anybody who sees it, if whoever wrote page 70 needs to write the entire book. Whoever wrote page 69 needs to just hand the page 70 author the notes. Page 69 sucks donkey balls. Page 70 was written very well. Please fix that for your 8th printing. And I promise you, not only will I buy your book, I'll buy like all your damn books because I want to play this game system. I like it. But I don't buy half-ass shit. I also don't buy SJW propaganda. Hopefully that's not you guys. All right. With that, that is it. And I see Heathen Dog just popped back in right at the end.